of you can go to the AWS console and start your instance. Fine, so my instance is running, right? So you please go and choose action, then instance state and start. So
There's Linux, right, Harish?
Linux instance, RHEL 8 instance, all of you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So once it starts initializing, please let me know. Okay, so all of you clicked there, instance state start.
It's running.
Okay.
Initializing.
It's pending.
Okay, good. So meanwhile, the system comes up. We'll see, what all things we have studied so far, right? So these three modules, we had completed. The fourth one, few things are there, right? So some concepts like EBS. Did we discuss about EBS last time?
Saturday you did not. Sunday I'm not sure.
Okay. So did I discuss about Vikas?
Yeah.
AWS storage has file level, storage block level, and object level. EFS is there, EBS is there, like that.
No, Harish.
Harish, my connection.
Ranjita?
Harish, my connection was gone. No, it's Apeksha here.
Apeksha.
I lost connection actually. I connected again. I'm just starting now. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So just click on that instance state to start.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Then,
I'll start it. Yeah.
Harish, EBS is like we are attaching the volume.
Correct.
It's regarding that, right?
Yeah.
We had a discussion on that. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I have some screenshots. Yes.
Okay.
Adding the extra volume.
Okay. So did we discuss like there are two different types of EBS, SSD based and HDD based, like that? Anybody remembers? Different types of EBS volumes? No, right?
No, Harish.
Okay. 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 Fine. So we'll begin from there, right? Right. And then I think we had attached some extra volume here, if you remember. So if you go to these volumes, please see if you have two volumes there. One 10 GB, another 1 GB.
Yes, we have actually.
Everyone?
Yeah. 10 GB and 30 GB.
10 GB and 30 GB. Urvashi, you are having 10 GB and 30 GB?
Yeah. 10 GB and
No, Urvashi, because here, last week on Sunday when you were not there, we added a volume of 1 GB. So that one
Okay.
miss, I believe. 30
Yeah,
GB
so
for the
not an issue. Urvashi, what you do, you please go to instances.
okay.
And then in instances, EC2 dashboard, you go to running instances, and there you will see two instances, one running, another stopped.
Yeah,
Which one is running? RHEL 8
RHEL 8, yeah.
and that Windows is there, right?
Yeah,
Now please select that Windows one,
yeah, I've selected.
and then you just choose action,
Yeah,
instance state,
yeah.
terminate.
Terminate.
Yeah,
Oh, it is asking warning and all that.
yeah.
So I've terminated.
Okay. So let it get terminated, right? So that the no, actually we are getting 30 GB volume only, right? From Amazon, so we should not block more than that, right? So otherwise it will impact the billing. Can you please check the billing as well, Urvashi?
Billing.
Yeah. So please go to the services. Here you just type billing. Maybe all of you can do that. Please go to billing. Everyone should have 0 INR. Please check. Urvashi, you please check particularly.
1 second. Billing management. I'm not getting this.
So you have to click on services. That this find button will come. Find this no search text box will come. So in that box you just type
Billing.
billing. So billing will come. You click that billing.
Yeah, 0.00 INR.
00, right? Okay, good. All should have 00. Please check. Please keep checking it on a regular basis. If you have any amount, then go to bill details and you can see no for what you have been billed. So if you click on bill details, you'll see the services that you have used so far, right? So you
One
can
has
see
been
like,
terminated.
pardon?
One has got terminated. It's written
Perfect.
terminated.
Perfect. So now you please go to volume and then you can know. Everyone had 0 in the billing?
Yeah, yes, Harish.
Now
Yes,
it's
sir.
Harish. Yeah.
10 GB and nothing.
Okay. So because one of my student, he got no charged because he didn't use like he had free tier account he had created last year and he thought like he has created newly and then he used the same thing and then it was already no 1 year was over. Then he kept his instance in stopped state still because he was using that EBS. He had no used some 30 GB or something. So he was charged for that like no for every month for 1 month some 80 rupees or something he was charged around $1 he was charged. So like that you may incur some billing if you use some especially like key management services there, right? So if you just use some KMS customer related keys, then there you may incur some charges. So please keep checking. If it comes 1 paisa, 2 paisa, something initially, then that time only you need to be careful, right? So please keep checking this billing thing, right? Okay. Please go to EC2 now, all of you.
So I need to add a volume.
We'll do that, not an issue. So you just see here under volumes, you have only one 10 GB volume, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So that's good. Now we'll do it after some time. We'll do it. So let's know what we do. Let me explain you some concept here. So okay, so you'll have a revision. So about the storage, AWS storage, you have been hearing a lot of terms, right? So about all the storage, AWS storage, right? So you can have in a broader aspect, you can have 3 types of storage, 3 types of storage in a very broad aspect. So one thing is that EBS, you know, right? So this is EBS. Another thing is EFS, Elastic File System. Correct?
Okay.
No need to note down. Just just understand like this. I'll just phrase it like I'll say file level. File level. file level storage. I'll say like this, file level storage, and then I'll say volume level or block level. I'll say block level storage, block level storage, and then another one I'll say object level storage. Am I making sense here? You have heard about object level storage?
Yeah.
That S3?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Block level is that EBS. And there is one more. You might have seen that ephemeral, like that. Whenever you try to shut down your Windows instance, that time it was coming like whatever data is there on ephemeral storage will be lost. Anybody remembers
Yes.
that? Yeah. So that ephemeral thing, no, that is called EC2 instance store. EC2 instance store. I think last time I had tried to show to somebody, right?
Yes, Harish.
Okay. So this EC2 instance store, like no, it is not for all the instances, not for this tier thing. So for some C5 or someone for something instance type, we found it. So this EC2 instance store is coming from local host machine, that is local hard drive, coming from the host machine on which your instances are hosted. So that will be always limited, right? So what they are doing is you will have that instance store that will be you can't mount it to different server, and the data will be gone as soon as you shut down your machine. All data will be gone. Okay, so it's kind of, you might have heard about some volatile memory concept, right? How you have RAM and swap and all those things. Similar to that, it will be whatever you store here in EC2 instance store, right? So this data will be gone as soon as you shut down your machine. Data will be gone. So that is not for data which you want it to be persistent across the reboot. So this is not meant for that EC2 instance store. So that is just like for some kind of caching thing or some temporary thing you want to keep. So for that only it will be there. Some kind of testing you can do, and then once the system is down, everything will be gone. But this EBS, right? So this EBS is a very high performance block storage device. So you might have heard about block storage. So that's why I told block level storage. Block storage device. You heard this term, block storage device. You heard about SAN, storage area network? Storage area network or something? Anybody? Yeah. So you can consider this similar to that. And others you can just relate to your hard disk. So your hard disk is like block level storage. So whatever is the hard disk in your laptop or your desktop or system, right? So that is a block level storage. So block level storage, for what purpose we are using? We are attaching to our machine, right? So like that only here also this EBS volumes will be attached to the EC2 instances, right? So once you attach it, you can store data in this. You can just have a root volume. You might have seen once when we launched our Linux machine. So we chose this EBS volume, and it is mentioned as root volume, right? So if it is root volume means that boot volume, for boot purpose, whatever files are needed for OS to keep some files, and then so that while booting it will require it. So all those file system related, operating system related stuffs will be kept in that boot volume or root volume, whatever you say, the main volume. How you have C drive in Windows, right? You can create D drive, E drive, other things also, but C drive is something which is used for keeping that operating system stuffs. Right or wrong?
Right.
Yeah. So exactly like that. This EBS is just like your hard disk. Just understand. So EBS is like hard disk. Again, I'll discuss various components of this EBS. Right now, this file level storage. Let me introduce EFS here. EFS. So this is elastic file system. Elastic file system. So you heard about NFS or some kind of share. Some share will be coming from somewhere and you can mount it in your machine as if you are accessing it locally, but it won't be there in your local machine. It will be coming from somewhere, some kind of share. SharePoint, something you might be doing, using, right? Somebody? Some kind of
Okay.
share you can create, right? So one thing is like object level, where simply you throw the things, you keep it there, and you can access through HTTP protocol through the web browser and all. So here there is no hierarchical structure. There is no hierarchy here. Simply whatever objects are there, you simply keep here and there some big object, small object, whatever comes, simply keep it here, and without any hierarchy, or whatever you have kept there, you can access based on tags or based on some prefixes, right? But in case of EFS, you will have hierarchical structure, right? And you will be able to access this EFS by mounting it to your local machine. So that practical we will do, right? So I'll show you how to create one EFS storage and how to mount it to your machine, to your EC2 instance. Okay, so we'll do that one. So EFS means what? EFS is, what is the benefit of EFS as compared to EBS, and what is the purpose? You can try to relate, like your own hard disk, and then you are getting something additional. So say like your own hard disk, you are keeping some data, so that is not to be shared with other people, right?
Okay.
So you have some common kind of data which you want many people to access simultaneously from different places, right? So you can put it in EFS, right? And at the same time, you can manage, you can maintain the hierarchical structure, right? And it will be again like how you don't have to, here in EBS, you have to define some size, right? You are giving 30 GB, 20 GB, 10 GB, 1 GB, right? Here in EFS, you don't have to do that. So what is the benefit here? It is elastic. So what happens here? Automatically it will grow. It's highly scalable, and automatically you put some file and it will grow. If you just take out some file, it will shrink. Okay, so that is one good benefit of this EFS, and then it can be shared among different instances from different locations, right? And many people can access it simultaneously, right? And right, it will be, even if the file system is growing, you are putting a lot of files here, even if the file system is growing, still the latency will be good. Latency will remain low. So that is another benefit, right? So you don't have to provision here any EBS drive, or you don't have to manage anything here. It is fully managed. So fully managed means managed by whom?
By Amazon.
Yeah, fully managed means this is fully managed. Fully managed means managed by Amazon, right? So this is good. So good availability, durability, and everything is there, and it data can be stored in multiple availability zones, right? So whatever you can create mount points in multiple availability zones, and you can access it locally as well. So you can have multiple copies of it, right? So that you have very good availability, right? So it supports the distributed architecture. So that's the good point about it, right? So if any availability zone outage is there, or any kind of network issue is there, or any kind of system failure is there, right? So it will not impact your data, right? So that's good about this. Now we'll do practicals, but let me explain this EBS. There are certain more things related to this. So shall I wipe this off page?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not using today your board?
Pardon?
That board where you used to write.
Pardon? I didn't get.
I'm just asking. You are not using that board you used to write, no? That whiteboard. Today you're using paint, no, to explain that. I simply asked, sorry.
Your voice actually, no, I could not get it. A little bit of crackling is there.
No, it's not that important. Just leave
So
it.
you talked about this font, right? It's not quite readable, right? Today.
No. I'm asking why are you not using that board you were using before, right?
Oh, okay, whiteboard, right? So that is something I doubted it. Maybe sometimes my system was crashing, right? So I doubted like maybe something because I have isolated all the issues separately. I upgraded the firmware. I have updated the patches. I have uninstalled certain drivers from my system. Done a lot of things because the system is new. Right, and I don't know much about this system. This is a different altogether AMD system. So now few things are there. Like I don't know, some problem may be there. So I am trying to isolate one by one, right? So in that process only, I have isolated this whiteboard for now. Okay, so I'll try to explain using this. That whiteboard was really good. I can also try with this whiteboard from Zoom, right? Let me try once. This whiteboard from Zoom is there, right? Let me try this one. It should be good.
Yeah, I simply asked Harish. That's okay.
It's okay, not an issue. We can try that. If that is good, then no, it'll be fine. Let me try this whiteboard. Not much using this whiteboard, but let me know, please, if this whiteboard is clearly visible to you. This whiteboard. Okay, so let's see this whiteboard. Okay, test. Oh, don't want this. This one should be good. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so fine. So what we were discussing? So what so far? So far we discussed like we have AWS storage, and AWS storage has three different types of storage: file, block, and what? File, block, and object. So in file we saw EFS. In block level storage we saw EBS and EC2 instance store, right? Which is also called ephemeral. And then let's for now let's look at EBS. Okay, so this EBS is based on two different types of hard drives. So one is like SSD based, another one is HDD based. One is SSD based, another one is HDD based. So you can understand this SSD and HDD. Which one will be faster? Which is better performance wise?
SSD.
Yeah. So anybody using SSD in your laptop?
Yeah, Sridhar, I'm using.
Okay, so how is the performance?
Yeah, it's really quick.
Yeah, same thing. In this my new system, I chose SSD. First time I am using this SSD because earlier I always used to go for hard drive because I wanted very big hard disk, and SSD used to be costlier. Now I went for a smaller disk. However, I went for the solid state drive. I'm finding much difference in the performance, even like with whatever processor is there, and the memory is also good. But because of this, whenever I boot my system, it's so quick, and whenever I try to open some file or something, so that time also it is very quick. So I'm finding the difference. So this SSD is a solid state drive, right? So the solid state storage, this is better, right, for some kind of transactional workload. What kind of workload? Transactional workload. So where, say like for example, it's like database. Some database is there. Lot of transaction will be happening, right? Every moment, some or the other request will be coming for some kind of read, some kind of write, some operations, right? It will be happening all the time. Another example I just told about my system, right? For boot volume, right? I have SSD, and the system really comes so faster, right? So for boot volume, right? I'm using it, and similar is the case in EC2 also. For boot volume, you can see we have EBS, correct? We have EBS, right? You have 30
Yes.
GB EBS volume.
Yeah, Harish.
Yeah, but here this HDD, right? So as compared to SSD, cheaper, right? And this is good for throughput intensive workload. Throughput intensive workload. So this is good for throughput intensive workload. This is for transactional workload. Okay. So this is for transactional workload, right? Like DB or like kind of boot volume or something. Now, in this one, SSD based, you have two options that you might have seen. Anybody noticed it carefully? GP2 we are using as of now. What
Yeah.
we are using? GP2. And
GB.
there is another one,
And IO1.
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 So this IO1 is provisioned IOPS. Provisioned IOPS SSD. I'll show you in the documentation. And this one is GP2 is general purpose SSD. So GP means general purpose. IO1 is what? Provisioned IOPS. So you can see like related to IO. And what will be there in DB? IO will be happening all the time, right? So in database, all the time, some request will come, some request will come for read, some request will come for write. So a lot of IO operation, input output will be happening in the storage. So IO means input output, right, from the storage perspective. So some input will happen, some output will happen. So those, in case of read, some output will happen. In case of some write operation, some request will come, something will be input here. So that is like IO operate input output operation. Fine. So if you need highest performance, the best performance, but best possible performance, you should choose IO1 or GP2.
IO.
Yeah. So here you will get highest performance, right, for latency sensitive workload, right, where you require too much of IO, right? IO in thousands, like maybe multiple thousand requests will come in a second. So you might have heard a term like IOPS, right? IOPS, IO per second, right? So it is considered like, say, like it can go up to say like 16,000 IOPS, 64,000 IOPS at max, right? So very high level of IO per second will be supported here. Correct. In case of this general purpose, right, it's a balance of price and performance. So this is balanced one, GP2, right? So this is by default you are getting GP2 whenever we are choosing, right? So that time by default you are getting it, right? So this is balanced one. Balance of price and performance. Okay. And this HDD based is throughput optimized. Here you will have throughput optimized, that is like ST1. Another one is SC1. Okay. So here C for cold
storage.
Yeah. And here T for
Throughput optimized.
Yeah. So this is throughput optimized. This is what? Cold HDD. This is cold HDD. As the name suggests, right? It is used for very less frequently accessed
Data.
Yeah, very less frequently accessed data. This is used, and this is for throughput optimized. Throughput optimized HDD. This is ST1. Okay, so Anyways, as compared to this SSD, this is low cost, right? And this is good for throughput intensive workload where you don't require too much of what you call input output, right? So it's not necessary that too much of input output is always needed in each use cases. So you cannot say that IO1 is better than ST1 or something. So it depends on the requirement, right? So I'll just give you one use case and then you have to tell which one you want to use, right? Say like
Okay.
for log processing. For log processing, you have a lot of logs or something, so that will be kept. Too much of log is there, so that will be kept somewhere, right? And sometimes you may be needing to access it for kind of analysis or for reporting. Maybe every day some data will be kept there, and maybe you may be accessing it also every day, right? However, it's not like in 1 second you will access it 1,000 times, correct? But you will definitely access some files, will be a lot of files will be there, so you want to access. So just tell me first whether you want SSD or HDD.
If it's occasional, then HDD is okay.
Not occasional, but huge volume of data to be kept there, that's it. Say like you have one instance or something, from there one instance or 10 instance or whatever, so a lot of data will be kept there. Not occasional, it will be kept every day, maybe every time also, but it won't be like, no, in 1 second you will be reading that log 10 times from 10 different machines or something. So simply one machine is keeping it, then one machine is keeping it. That's so like that data will be kept, right? So in that use case, right? So HDD is good. Because you, yeah. So as you suggested, SDD is good because you don't want to access that data, right? Thousands of systems doesn't want to access that data at once in 1 second only. In 1 second, 1,000 instances won't be accessing that log, right, from different places. So that is like, that's not for IOPS. That is like for throughput. Too much of logs will be kept there. So it requires a lot of bandwidth, right? And it should be kept, huge volume should be kept quickly. So that is throughput, right? So for throughput intensive, this thing, now which one you will use, ST1 or SC1, Urvashi?
SG1.
You mean this throughput optimized or cold HDD?
Throughput optimized.
All others agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, ST1.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's very good. So that's right. That's right. So you want lot of logs, huge logs to be written, right? So for that, throughput should be good. So definitely you should go for throughput optimized. So here, that is the thing, right? So fine. So we'll be seeing this. Apart from all this, you have something from the previous generation. So this is this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these 4 options are there from the current generation, right? Apart from this, you have from the previous generation, right? From the previous generation. This is visible. This what I wrote,
Yeah.
previous generation, visible, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So from the previous generation, you have magnetic SDD. Magnetic SDD. So that is called EBS magnetic SDD. Right? So this will be like IOPS will be low and it will be very cheap, right? So say like for 1 million IO request, right? They'll charge you this much dollar. $1 million IO. For 1 million IO, they will charge you $0.05 per month. Okay. Or for 1 GB, for 1 month, right? They'll charge you again like $0.05. So this is cheaper as compared to that, right? So here, no, throughput will be normal, and even that IOPS will be also like 400 to 200 or something, right? And throughput also won't be above 1750. So you'll see that. I'll just show you all these things, right? Okay, so let me close this. Okay, so please let me know if my screen is visible to you all.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we know about all these storage types, EBS, EFS, and all, so it would be better if we do some hands-on related, right? So now please come to this EC2 dashboard. You see your instance is running. You come to volume, click here, and you will see like one volume is there, 10 GB, and all others will have 1 GB also. And Urvashi, you may be having only one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, not an issue. So what you do,
Can I create one?
yeah, definitely. 1 second. Let me delete this one. So for deleting, what I have to do, I have to detach it. So let me create a new one. So you just click on create volume.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
So on the new volume, you just see here options, whatever we have discussed so far. You see all those options are there.
Yeah.
So you have general purpose SSD GP2, you have provisioned IOPS SSD IO1, cold SDD SC1, throughput optimized ST1, and magnetic. This is from the previous generation, right? So you have these 5 options here in EBS. So say like size, you just make it 1 GB.
General purpose only.
Yeah, let it be general purpose.
Okay.
Now size, you choose 1 GB, only one. This is GB-byte. 1 GB-byte.
Yeah.
Now you see here IOPS 100 per 1000. So this is the baseline of 3 IOPS per GB. Now availability zone, which one you want to choose? Be careful with that. Which one you want to choose? Which availability zone is there? So last time I think Vikas had helped us, right, Vikas?
Yeah, Harish.
So we created, I think, in a different availability zone, and then it was not visible to us. Then Vikas noticed it, and then he told, right, we have created a different availability zone. So we need to be careful. Where is our EC2 instance? That you should be knowing, right? So just see, go back, EC2 instance, right? You see here running instance, where it is running. 2C for me, right?
For me, yeah, 2C.
For you also US is to 2C, exactly the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you please come to volumes once again. Click on create volume. Make it 1 GB. Please don't make it 100.
Yeah.
Then you just see here, change it to the same availability zone where you have your EC2 instance. So please change it to 2C.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can create a tag here. So this is, you can give like name.
What does snapshot ID mean?
Snapshot we will discuss after this. Okay, snapshot is related to taking of backup of the instance. So we'll be discussing today. So just just forget it. You have a lot of things here, so that is not relevant. Snapshot ID here, like from which snapshot. Let me explain here. So you see a lot of snapshots here, right? Everyone?
Yeah.
So all these snapshots are kept, right? So something may be related to some Windows 2016, Turkish, some French, some kind of image, some kind of 2012 Polish installation media. So all those media are there. So that we don't want. We want one fresh, 1 GB volume that we want to attach for our purpose. So we don't want anybody else's backup copy of their instance, their server. From that, we don't want to restore this EBS volume. So if you choose another one, so whatever this volume that you get, that will come as how they have taken the backup, that snapshot. From there, it will come, all data will come from there. So we don't want that. We want 1 GB only, right? So for that reason, we are not choosing this. And we are not even encrypting for now. So we are just putting name, and then I'm putting like my EBS 2. This is my third one. So I will put 3, you put 2. Okay. So I'll just choose like that, some name I have given for reference. And then you can click on create volume. Click here and go and see.
Yeah.
Just remove this filter. So then you will have like 3 things. One is coming, new one. So just I'll give some name, right? My EBS 3. I just named it like that. I just give some name. So it's ready and it is showing as blue. Is it available?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So last time what we had done, we had attached this to the instance, right? Then it became green. So what we did, just it was selected. We did action and then we did attach volume. Please do this.
In the first one, right?
Yeah, this for this my EBS, whatever you have created, new one, 1 GB one. So for that, you just choose action, and then you see attach volume option in there.
I clicked here, so it is asking volume instance.
Yeah. So here you just see instance, search instance ID or name tag.
Okay.
In US is 2C. So it should be there. Some instance or something should be there. So again, it is not coming today. Let's wait for some time. It will take some time. So it will come. Don't worry. Okay. So for others, it is attached. Please check the option here. Linux EBS 2. So if you go to action, you will see here detach. No attach will come.
Yes, Harish, it is attached already.
Attached for all others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Harish.
So for whom it is attached, it will show as detach. So for us, it will come now again for next volume. Just refresh. Okay. So just see here 2C, right? So 2C is there, then our instance will come. Okay. So
Yeah, it
came for you? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now you choose action, attach. Now click, see it came, right? It's running, we selected. And now it is coming G for me. For you, it might be coming F.
Yeah.
Because it's like starts with the F. So first one F it has taken. For me now it will take next one G. Okay. So you say attach. Okay. So I got 2. You all should have 1 each. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you all please connect to the EC2 instance that you are having using the PuTTY.
PuTTY I have to download again.
You deleted that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just download. Just go to putty.org and download it.
Download it.
Download it?
You can download Putty here.
Yeah, click on here and then Putty 64-bit. It will show on the top on that charc.greenend.net website. And then simply you just choose no, putty.exe, not the first thing, second one.
This one, Putty
.exe, .exe, not MSI. Below that MSI thing, then you will see another block where it will show putty.exe 64-bit.
Okay, Putty.exe 64-bit.
Yeah, please click on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it will come. Just save it.
Okay.
Okay, now you can double click. Yeah, now you can double click on that. Others, you all can no, connect if you have Putty already.
And Putty.exe also downloaded that day, right?
No, only putty.exe is required. That's it, not puttygen.
Okay, okay. Puttygen is not required.
You already have the key, right, for your EC2 instance?
I have deleted both yesterday, that day. I mean.
No, you deleted puttygen.exe and putty.exe, but you did not delete putty that ppk file that you had created. You had created one ppk that you are having, right? So where it is kept?
Day 5.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. Yeah, so now you know how to connect to your instance. Please connect.
I'll go to PuttyX. Here, what you have told?
Yeah,
Save
open this putty.exe, double click, open it.
Load, yeah.
Now what will you do?
I have opened it, and then in save session, here
Load it.
8 is there. I load it and then
Okay.
open.
Now that open, whatever you do, it may not work because the IP address will be different now for your instance, right?
Yeah,
So
we were getting network error.
Yeah. So go to running instance, see what is the current IP address, click copy that, right? And paste it here, right? Once you paste it, right? Then you can save it. Just save it.
Running instance.
Take that IP, paste it here, click on save.
Okay.
First you loaded, right, already?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now if you saved, so it will say like Red Hat -1. Now you click on open.
Save and then load also I have to do?
First you had to do load. You had not done?
First I did load. No, first I did load, okay?
Yeah, then now you kept this IP and after that you saved it, correct?
Yeah.
That's it. So no need to do anything. Simply click on open.
I open.
Okay, perfect. Now you see.
But nothing is coming here.
Nothing is coming. That means your local IP also got changed.
Yeah, for me also it is coming as network error, connection timed out.
Okay, good. So now what you need to do is you have this selected, whatever this EC2 instance is selected, please go and click on the security group, RHEL 8. Go to the instance, you see here security group, the first one you need to click.
One second, security group, right?
Yeah.
It is Launch Wizard 2.
Yeah, click on that.
Okay.
Now you'll get this page. In this page, you'll see that security group ID, security group, some name you might have given, right? And you click on that security group ID.
Okay.
So you'll be here. Here it will show you inbound rules, right?
Oh.
So inbound rule, you will have some source mentioned there from where, right?
I have 3 sources: SSH, HTTP, HTTP.
Yeah, that's fine. SSH you have only one, right?
Yeah.
So for SSH, no, just click on this edit inbound rule.
Okay.
Now you just see this instance here. It will show like this. Some IP will be there. Okay.
Hmm.
You click on this custom and choose my IP.
Okay.
Click on that. It will change. Whatever is there now, it will change.
Okay.
For me, it will not change because it's not changing for me, right? So now just say click on save rules.
Can I delete this HTTP? HTTP is there? No.
You can delete or it's okay to keep, not an issue. That is for which IP? Older IP, right? You can delete it better to be safe because that IP might have gone to somebody, so they will be connecting through HTTP. So you can delete it, no problem.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
It is still it is still showing custom. So I'll say my
Yeah, let it show custom. See, you chose my IP, right? For the SSH.
Ah.
This IP changed or not?
Again, I can see in edit inbound rule or
No, you
yeah,
cannot
just
say. You just save and come. No problem. It will work.
okay.
Yeah. So now you come to Putty and you connect.
Now again, I have to. One second.
Yeah.
It has closed.
Simply double click. Select
1
this.
second, Harish.
Load it.
Here, first I have to load, right?
Yeah.
But IP is
Harish,
different.
Everyone
Harish,
connected
this-
to the EC2 instance?
Harish, this time I'm getting something as the server host key is not attached. I should give an yes now.
Apeksha?
Yeah, yes, Harish.
Yeah, yes option is there, right? So you choose yes.
Yeah.
It will come.
Yes.
It will come.
Okay.
I guess it came.
So Urvashi, it worked for you?
Yeah, it is saying last login Saturday, July 18.
Yes. So you are on the command prompt. Now it may be EC2 for you. So just do sudo su dash.
How did you make it white in your system?
That you have option here. You can go to window. You can just play with this appearance. You can change the font size. You can go to this behavior. You can change some title. You can give. You can go to this appearance only. You will have this option. Different type of options will be there. Behavior, translation, selection. So a lot of options will be there. So just you can change. Window, the size you can change, how much you want. So like this.
Sudo su, right?
That putty you can change. So not an issue. So now you got that sudo su dash. It is showing like this. If you do root sudo su dash and enter, it will show you root here. Everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Harish, one
So-
small doubt.
Yeah, Sai, tell me please.
Yeah, when Urvashi did install the putty again, right now, so is it not required to attach that SSH key?
Actually, what happened is she had that SSH key earlier, right, from the
Yeah.
server. So private key she was having. See that private key .pem she had downloaded initially.
Yeah.
So that key she had kept properly, and she had downloaded puttygen.exe. From that, she converted the PEM to PPK and kept in a
Yeah.
folder called day5. So that
Correct.
PPK was there, and now what happened? This machine is the same old one, right?
Okay.
So the public
Yeah.
key is already kept in the machine. Now what she did, she just went here, and what she had done, she had saved the profile. She doesn't have to go to this no connection, SSH and
yeah.
that authentication, and she doesn't have to browse. You know why? Because
Yeah.
what she did, she had one saved setting, saved login, right? So she simply
Okay.
loaded. As soon as she loaded here, you see things populated, right? So now
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you just go to auth, you see this path is populated now.
Correct, correct. So that means there will be one .txt file, I think, right? That configuration some file. So
Not
she has
txt file, ppk. I'll show you.
Yeah. That PPK, I got it, Harish.
Here.
So yeah. So
Correct?
like yeah. Okay. So even if we delete it, no need to again attach that is authentication, right?
Which one you deleted? That ppk? You should not never delete.
Okay. Not that. Like if we delete this putty software.
Putty software is like doesn't matter.
Yeah. So once we again get it back,
Hmm.
that time this Red Hat and all will not be showing, right? Generally, or it will show. Let me check that. Maybe I will check it and.
I didn't get your question exactly. Like if you delete that putty is just one exe here, right?
Yeah, correct. So when we delete it, right? How come again this setting, like whatever we
This
save
one
Red
you're
Hat
talking?
one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
saved in your local machine, no? Somewhere?
Yeah, correct. So by that, wherever it is saved, from that we are getting these details again back, right?
Correct. For
Okay.
me, I
Yeah.
had to configure again because see what I did was I have reset my machine, like the entire operating system only I reset. So what I did,
Okay.
I faced issue. You remember during first and second sessions, initially my connection used to get hung, right? So
Yeah.
so I was troubleshooting, and while doing lot of troubleshootings, what I did finally was no, still for 1 or 2 weeks there was no issue. Again, issue was happening. So what I did, I restored my system to the point where it was brand new. So reinstall everything actually. So once I reinstall, everything was fresh and everything from C drive had gone. Then for me, I had to load it. I had to load this. I had to go here and browse and find it out. From day 5, I had to load it. So I created a fresh one, this one. Okay, clear? Hello. Sai, you are there. Sai. Hello, Sai. Others can listen, can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, Harish.
I think something wrong with Sai's connection. He is so shown as unmute, but Sai, please let me know once you're back.
Harish, something happened on my session. It's saying network error or timed out. It's connection timed out.
Oh, whatever is this connected thing, their connection timeout came in your putty.
Yeah, Harish.
So again, you just close that one. Just close like this, and simply double click. Then select this one, load it, open it again. It will come.
Okay, I tried it 2 times. It did not come.
But it was connected earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
Then you
I
check
even logged on to root.
check network connectivity.
Okay.
Just typing -t google.com.
Harish, I had some network connectivity, so I reconnected now.
Okay. We noticed it. So not an issue. That's fine. So just try, with all this, settings. Fine, Sai. Just try and let us know tomorrow.
Okay, Harish.
Okay. Fine then. Vikas, please let me know if you are getting this session.
It's connected. It's response is coming.
Okay. It is connected. Now you again try to connect to that instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unreachable.
Pardon?
Network is unreachable. That's the error what I'm getting.
Okay, so looks like your IP, local IP, whatever is there, no, that might have changed due to some
Is
reason.
it?
Yeah, might be, not sure. So
Okay.
while running, it should not change. However, not sure. Network glitch might be there, and again, you might have got some another IP. So please go and check the security group again, and note the IP, whatever is mentioned there first, and then you just try to click again on my IP, and then see whether IP is shown as different. Or you can go to whatismyip.com.
Yeah, it's the same IP, Harish.
Okay, so maybe I need to troubleshoot. So wait 1 second, please. Let me close this. Let me share.
Okay, it came. There was some problem, I believe. It came now, Harish. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe temporary network issue, right?
Yeah.
In the connectivity. Fine then, in that case. Okay, so so everyone, you are here. Just try fdisk-l. Enter.
Fdisk space -100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like for managing your disk, this command, fdisk. So whatever -l means, it will list whatever disks are there, whatever hard disks are there attached to your machine. So it will show all of them, right? So now you see there is one disk like dev xvda, and that is of 10 GB. Can you relate this to anything else?
Yeah, that's the volume what is there for us.
Root volume, right?
Yeah, the root volume.
So let's go to this volume and see here.
Okay.
10 GB is there, right? It's the same thing. Urvashi, you got it? XVDA. So you see the first one comes like dev XVDA. Here you see 10 GB. So here also it is shown as 10 GB, you see? Correct?
Yeah.
So this is exactly the same disk, right? Which is shown here. Okay. You see, this is the disk. Now you come back and see another thing. You will see another one, dev xvdf. All of you will have this one. I have one additional. So you will have
1 GB.
Yeah, this one 1 GB. So you have another one, right? So it will be pointing to that. Okay, this one. Okay. So I have third one also. I have one more. Fine. Now, so you see, you saw, right? Once you attached it, so your disks are visible here. Now you can use this disk. Okay. Now you can use this disk. Simply you say df hyphen small h capital T.
What df hyphen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it shows how much you are using.
Yeah, it is showing all the file systems that are available on your machine. So this is like all the file systems. So here only one is XFS, you see?
Yeah.
Only one is XFS, right? Remaining things some TMPFS and all. So those things are temporary file system, not relevant for us. But XVDA1 is shown as XFS 10 GB, 1.2 GB is already used, right? 8.9 GB is remaining. Total utilization of this disk is 12%. and this is mounted on slash. Slash means root volume. All clear, everyone?
Okay.
Yeah. So that means if you do simply df hyphen small h capital T slash, then it will show only for slash wherever it is mounted. So that file system will show to you what is the file system type and how it is mounted. So similarly, you can also mount this EBS volume, right? If you want to mount it permanently, so it will be mounted in etc fstab. There is a file etc fstab. So these are internals of Linux, how to mount it permanently. So it's like mentioned with the UUID XFS default option, like that it is mounted here. But I'll tell you some option using which you can mount this fdisk-l. So you are having this Dev XDF, right?
Yeah.
Dev XDDF. So this device is there. So you want to mount it, right? So where you want to mount it?
To the root.
Yeah, to the root already something is mounted. So you should mount to some other directory. So different mount point you can mount. Root is already root volume, right? So
Yeah,
you can mount, say like in some other directory. You can create some directory, mkdir, and you can create some, you can give your name. So you can say slash mkdir slash, I will say Harish. And I'll say Harish 1. Okay. So you can say your name and you can create a directory like that. Please let me know once everyone are there, and then you do ls-l slash Harish. Just see like this, total 0, nothing is there in that. And when you say df-h t slash Harish, then it is showing which file system? Same slash file system, right? As of
So
now,
you are giving Harish, I mean your first
give your name. Yeah, just give your name. Yeah.
name.
Just run a couple of commands and see.
Urvashi 1, right?
Yeah, you can give like that.
No such file or directory.
Create it.
How?
mkdir slash Urvashi
mkdir
slash Urvashi.
Urvashi 1, huh?
Yeah.
It is, nothing is coming.
Nothing will come. See,
Unless-
basic principle of Linux is if nothing comes means we are good.
Okay.
Yeah. So you did mkdir slash Urvashi, nothing came means you got your command line, right? This one came, right?
This one came, then I
That's
gave
it.
ls-l Urvashi 1. It
Did you
says
put a slash?
invalid. Okay.
Yeah, put
ls
slash. Yeah, it's needed.
hyphen
Or you do ls-ld.
ls space hyphen l
Yeah, like this you do.
Urvashi 1. Nothing is.
You see, you do like this. Exactly like that. Just replace with your name. Instead of Harish 1, you mention your name.
Total 0.
Hmm.
Oh, only hyphen Urvashi M, no?
ls-l, ld,
ls hyphen
put slash and whatever directory you created. How you created? Exactly same thing you put.
ls hyphen 1
ld, L for list.
ld
Yeah.
space slash Urvashi 1. Yeah, slash Urvashi 1 came.
Came?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Very good. So now what we
But
will do?
it is not coming that how much I've used and everything.
No, that is not a file system. That is just a directory as of now.
Okay.
So what you have done so far, you have just created one directory, right? So yeah, it's showing like directory is there. D is there, right? Means it is a folder. It is just a directory that you have created, right? So on this directory, and this is not a file system. If you just run the command to check all the file systems, if you say df-ht, you
Harish,
will not
one
see
second.
that.
1 second. Okay. When I did ls-ld
Mhm.
slash Urvashi 1.
Mhm.
So in your this prompt, it's showing DRWXR. For me, it's not showing this. Okay.
So you did not do D, you only did LS-L.
No, I did again
What
and
did you do? LS-?
ls space hyphen ld
Did you
space
do yes, L or 1?
Urvashi Urvashi 1.
Hmm?
Enter. Now it's coming here.
Coming, right?
Yes.
Yeah, if you do some typo instead of L1 or something, if you do, it will give different results because ls is a command which can take 1 also. If you simply say ls-1, right? Then what it will give? It will just give like this list in one column. It will give you the output.
Okay.
But if you do ls-l, right, you see the difference. Here, all the permissions, everything, who is the owner, right? When it was created, all these timestamps, all the things will come, right? So difference. So what I want to tell you here is when you say df-ht, it is showing all the file systems. Do you see your file system listed in this list?
Yeah.
Where?
No, no.
I did df-ht.
If you simply say df-ht, each /harish1 is visible here.
No.
No, right? So what is /harish1? /harish1 is just a directory, just a local directory that I have created in which file system? That you can check like this, df-ht, and if you just say the directory name, it will tell where it is. It is still in the root volume. /harish1 is in the root volume only. It's not a separate file system. Okay. So what we want to achieve here, we want the disk that we have created, that 1 GB disk, we want to mount on this mount point. Mount point means what? Vikas, can you explain to people mount point?
Harish, when I did df space hyphen s capital T space slash
Just put the directory name. Yeah.
Urvashi 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some output coming, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing coming.
Perfect. So
But the same way I have given earlier also, why it was not coming, and then
definitely you must have missed some space here or some hyphen after that space here. Something you might have done. Just check history command and you see the difference. You just done like this, history, enter.
okay.
You see the difference what you have done. It will be visible there. Cross check.
Yeah.
Some mistake, some difference, right?
Capital U. I have given that is U.
Correct. Because this is case sensitive, not like Windows. Here, /harish in H small, it will be different, and H capital, it will be different. If I change this I to capital, it will be different. So it's totally case sensitive. You have to be careful with that. And just in order to sure, what you do is HAR like that you do, and then you press a tab. If you press a tab, you will come to know. If nothing is coming, say like if I do here capital H, A, something, and then keep on pressing tab, nothing will happen. So that means nothing is there. If I say HAR small, I press a tab, automatically my directory, if it is there, it will come. So that is something to be safer. So you can simply use the tab. That is, the tab is for command line completion. So Vikas, would you like to explain what is a mount point?
Yeah, mount point. It's in our case, it's Harish one or Vikas one, where it's directory where you can mount additional file systems.
Perfect. Perfect. All others, any doubt in that? What is the mount point? Hello.
It is showing XFS 10 GB, 1.2 G,
Correct.
9 G, 12.
Correct, Urvashi. Right. That's right. So when you are seeing here, you are seeing that no file system, whatever 10 GB. So this file, this is just a directory, right? Where it is lying in that 10 GB volume, right? That root volume mounted on / file system, right? So this is another one file system which was created on this particular hard disk, right? In that, this directory is just a part of it, right? Now, what we want, we have additional disk, right? 1 GB disk, correct? So what we want, XDF we are having, right? So,
Yeah.
so what is the disk name? XVD. Okay, so I have this XVDF. So this we want.
What is grep mean? I mean,
just to suppress the data, other data, whatever match will come, that will be shown. So if you just see if this happen, a lot of things will come.
Yes.
No need to worry about this. Just like this is some Linux commands, right?
Okay.
So you just focus on this XVDF. Okay. So this XVDF is there. Now you just see here you have a disk, and then you have two partitions, right? You see some logical file system also there, right? So they have created out of that, they have created like this XVDA1, XVDA2, like that. So we will also do that. So what we will do, fdisk, and then we'll give the name of our disk. So whatever is XVDF, that we will paste it. Just copy and right click, it will paste. So just type fdisk /dev/xvdf. This is 1 GB disk, everyone.
Fdisk
fdisk space. You must put space.
Yeah.
Then /dev/xvdf.
Okay.
So this file system we will be trying to access from this point. So when we go to this point, it should become this hard disk. Okay.
I did that, so it is showing welcome to fdisk.
Yeah, like this you might have got, right?
Yes, yes.
So just all of you press M for help. M, just press M.
Okay.
See what is N.
M or N?
First you press M, then it will list you the names. Then you see what is N. Just see. What is the meaning of N?
But I was asking M for help. I didn't get it.
See, when you press M, it will show you lot of things.
Okay.
So you just scroll and you see here, is there any option?
A, B, C.
N.
Add a new partition.
Correct. So what we want to do is this 1 GB there, right? So we will use as a file system. So we'll create a new partition. Now you just press N and press enter, everyone.
Yeah.
Now you just press P, it will become a primary partition. Now you just like that, simply at this point, all of you here on the same page?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Harish.
Yes, Harish.
Everyone, Sai, Apeksha?
Yes, Harish. Even
Okay, so please don't do any mistake here. No, because you are changing the layout of the hard disk that you have attached, right? So what we have done we did fdisk-l, fdisk, and then name of our disk, right? What was that? This one, right? So we did fdisk, and then name of the disk. Then whatever came there, we just press M to see the help. So this is just helping. It is telling what it is and all. Here you see N. N is for adding a new partition. So we press N, and now it is asking primary or extended. So I say primary partition I want. Now it's asking partition number. So I'm saying 1 is there already. This is first one. I simply press enter. Now it's asking first sector, right? So I say enter. Now whatever last sector, I press enter. Okay, that's it. I have not done anything. So whatever is by default, the beginning sector and the last sector, all those sectors will come. So I just want one file system of which will take complete files space in the hard disk. Anyways, it is just 1 GB. So I don't want to create multiple partitions here, right? So now what I will do after this, W I will do. You see here, W means what?
Write table to disk.
Yeah. So we'll do W and enter. Just press W and enter. What happened now? Partition table has been altered. The partition table has been altered. Now you do fdisk-l again and enter. Anything new you are noticing? See another device.
fdisk-l, enter it.
So earlier you might be seeing disk XDF. It was there. For me, like 2 were there. Now, after we created this partition, so what it shows? XVDF1. 1 came for everyone?
Yeah.
XVDF1. Please let me know who did it.
For me, it came till here, 83 Linux. After that, nothing.
So this when you press fdisk-l, yeah, this device is there. Okay,
only till here is there.
Okay, that's good because I have additional, right?
Yeah.
I have one more additional. That's why it came. So you all will get up to this one. Okay. Now you have this device. What you would like to do first? You have created the partition. Now in that you want a file system, right? So because you want to put some data there, correct? Correct? Getting it?
Yeah.
So until and unless you have a file system, can you put a data in that file system?
No.
So there are different types of file system, like you have FAT16, FAT32, no? In Linux you will have ext, no, 2, ext3, ext4, right? XFS file system. In Windows NT you will have NTFS file system, right?
Yeah.
So like that you have different types of file systems, different type of layout, different type of structures where you can put the data, right? So here whatever supported options are there. So in that there is one called XFS, another one is ext4. So what we'll do, we'll create ext4. As of now it is having another volume, whatever is there, that is, if you just see mount, then it will show you mount or df-h. So you can just simply use this one command only that you have learned, right? df-ht. So you see here it is mounted as which type?
Yeah, it's
XFS type. Our 10 GB root volume is mounted as XFS type, right? Now what we want to do, we want to mount it as another file system we can choose. So what I will do is we'll format the disk, means we'll make the file system. So for making the file system there is a command which starts with mk, right? Just all of you type mk and press tab 2 times. Okay, so now you see you have option like mke2fs, mkfs.ext3, mkfs.ext4, mkfs.ext2, correct? mkfs.xfs. If you choose mkfs.xfs, it will create XFS file system. If you choose mkfs.ext4, it will create ext4 file system. So simply you choose mkfs.ext4. Choose all of you.
Harish, it is like that MK and you pressed enter, is it?
2 times you press tab. If you press enter, it will say command not found. You press enter 2 times. You didn't see? I'll show you. Wait 1 second. You see what I did? MK.
Okay.
Then tab is there, no, in your keyboard.
Yes.
2 times you press. What happened? Like this screen didn't come.
Yeah, it is coming now. It is coming. Yeah.
Okay, good. So that is again another feature of command line completion. So here the kernel understands that, right? This shell prompt bash is there. So bash understands that, right? You want to run some command, because first thing on the command line is a command, right? Then only some parameter, some kind of argument will come. So first thing is command. So if you say MK and tab, that means you are looking for some command which starts with MK. So you got starting from MKFS. MKFS means make, MK means make, FS means file system. So make file system. You want to make file system, right? How you do format, right click and format pen drive, D drive, C drive, like that you are doing in Windows, right? Formatting your pen drive, if it has some problem. You have done any time? Anyone?
Yeah, Harish.
Yeah, so like that, this mkfs.ext4 you have to use. Just use this one. You can use anything, ext3, ext2, or you want xfs, anything you can use, your choice. But simply for this session, let's choose mkfs.ext4. This is a good file system actually. For smaller files, no, this is a very good file system. XFS is relatively newer one. By default, it will be there for RHEL 8, right? So let's choose this. Just choose this command first. Don't press enter. What do you want to know? Where you want to make this file system? Okay.
Harish, actually, when you asked first, no, use mkfs.ext4, I pressed enter. Okay.
Not an issue, not a problem. If you press enter, it will simply suggest you the uses that no, you have done a mistake. You should not do like this. So that is another good thing. If you simply press it, no, you will come to know lot of options. Or if you don't want that like that, then you can simply say like help. Say help, still you will get the same thing. Right?
Okay.
So you can say like mkfs enter. So it will tell you this is the uses, right? So you can see in the uses part, right, what it says mkfs. Then you have to give something. So a lot of options, a lot of parameters, right? And then you have to give device, right? All other things, whatever is there in square bracket, right? All those are optional. All those are optional. But what is not in the square bracket is compulsory. So this mkfs simply it will not run. It requires to make file system somewhere. Where will it make the file system if you don't give, right? So where you want to make the file system, that is a device, right? And what is the name? X, V. Do you remember or forgot? If you forgot, not an issue. Do tab. Do tab 2 times.
It is asking display
XVDF1.
Yeah. So as you forgot, but you remember, no, it is a device. It should be XVD something when you.
Harish,
Yeah.
when I did mkfs.ext4 space /tev/ you said press tab 2 times. I did press 2 time tab. So it is showing display all 136 possibilities question mark.
No, there cannot be 136 possibility. You have not done DEV. D for device.
I did that.
Harish, she has done /dev afterwards. She has not done XVD.
Oh, XVD you have not done?
No.
Okay, okay. So just
So
do
now,
XV at least.
no, now it's not going down. Display all 136
No, you say
possibilities.
N, small N. You just say
N.
small N. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it will come out. You will get the command prompt. Got it?
Okay. XVD.
Yeah. So when you see what you did was after Dave you did 2 times tab. So like this it was asking, right?
Yeah.
So because there are 137 files in this directory, that's why you are getting this option. So just say no. You will get again the thing here. Now you just do XVD because you know, right? It starts with XVD something. At least you remember XV.
dot ext4.
So do tab 2 times. It will tell you like which one you want. So you have to do XVD F1.
XVD and
XVD
tab
F1.
F1. Yeah.
Okay. So if you are not if you are getting it like this XVDF you did, then again you can do tab 2 times. Then you will see XVDF and XVDF1 both are there.
I'm not getting XVDF. I'm getting till here. Okay.
You just XVDF you type and do tab 2 times.
Okay. XVDF.
Just understand what it is, then you will know use it.
Okay.
Without understanding, if you do tab, then it will not make any sense. What you have to do is you have to first understand what is the meaning of tab.
Okay.
Then you will appreciate the benefit of it. So simply you do dev/xv, then you do a tab. D will come automatically.
Okay.
With one tab only D will come. Then that means there are more than one thing which starts with XVD under dev. Then you do tab 2 times. Then it will show you more things, right? So here you choose F. Then you do tab 1 time, nothing will come. 2 times you do. Then whatever is there related to XVDF, starting with XVDF, that will come. Then you choose 1. Then again you do tab. Then space will come. That means it is correct. Whatever path you have chosen is correct. Okay. Or yeah, or you can simply whatever is there, you can simply copy paste also. Just see, everyone is here on the command prompt with mkfs.ext4 and then dev xvdf1.
Yes.
Everyone here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, please press enter.
Yeah.
See what happened. What does it say? Creating journal, writing super blocks and file system accounting information done. Everything done here. So that file system got a particular, partition got a file system. So there is a file system in the partition. Now, how will you access it? You should have a door through which you can access that disk. Right or wrong? So what is that door? We had created that door, just we need to attach that door to that particular disk. Okay, so that we can access it. Right? So what is that door? ls-l, remember? /Harish I had made, and you had made with your name. All of you. That directory is the door to access this device, right? Now, through this door, we will access that device where we will keep our data. We will utilize the 1 GB space, right? So now let's know how to do that by mounting it. So just run mount. Mount. What do you want to mount? You want to mount this particular device. Where do you want to mount? You want to mount in this directory. Is that right? Mount.
Yeah.
What you want to mount? Where you want to mount? 2 parameters.
How to paste it? When you copy it and then how to paste it? What did you say?
Right click. Simply select it. Right click.
Okay.
So once you right click, it will come once. Okay. Now, if simply you have to say mount then whatever is the device, and then wherever you want to mount it. Just come like this.
After XVDF1, I need to give a space, right?
Yeah, for everything, because see this, whatever, just understand, like whatever is a separate entity, right? Separate entity. So this is a device, right? Separate entity, right? So fine. This will take space on both the sides. This one separate entity. This is a directory. So this will also take space. This is a command. This will also take space. This is a switch. Switch is given with hyphen option, hyphen L, hyphen D, hyphen something, hyphen. So there should not be a space between that hyphen and the switch. There you have to understand this is a separate identity. So like that you have things. So this mount will take 2 arguments. So this is called command line parameters. These are this and this is parameter. Now this is command. Okay, this is taking 2 arguments. This command is taking 2 arguments. One is like what you want to mount. Another is where you want to mount. Till this everyone reached?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Apeksha?
Harish.
Yeah.
Yes, Harish.
Okay, perfect. Now press enter. Nothing came. Is it good or bad?
That's good.
Good.
Yeah, if nothing comes in Linux means absolutely right. Perfect it is. And you want to check, then you can say echo $, and it will come as 0, means everything is perfect. Just these few things I will be telling here and there, no additional. So just you understand that this is a return value of the command. So when command runs successfully, so there will be a return value. That return value, if it is 0, means everything is successful. Okay, just to in future, if you just want to learn more on Linux, so this is it will be useful to you. Fine. So anyways, so now what you can do, you can simply go to, now you can go to simply go to /Harish, or even before that, what you do df-ht, that command you were running earlier. Please run that. See anything new here?
XVDF1.
That your name came here.
Yeah.
Mounted on.
Yes.
For everyone.
Yeah.
HT.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Yep.
You can simply say DF also, doesn't matter. Just different format it will come. That's why. Okay. So this is H means some kind of human readable. T will also give you the type of the file system. That's why I was using that. Simply you say DF, it will show it. Okay. It will show in bytes, so you have to count it, right? Here it will come like MG, like that, all those, it's little better, right? So that's why I was using. So if you just say DF also, it will give you the device name, that is the file system name. And now where it is mounted in our directory. If that disk is mounted in our directory, right? So how much is that utilized as of now? It's showing like something, 991 is size, 2.6 MB, something used, 922 MB or something is remaining, right? So now you just go there, go to that directory, do a tab and go. CD / put small u r, and then you simply say tab, it will go to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone here? Now you just see LSFNL, some lost plus found, something has come. Earlier nothing was there. It used to show 0, total 0. So now it says total 16, and some lost plus found also came here.
Yeah.
Wherever you see lost plus found, you can relate it that it is a file system, and it is not a directory now. Now what you can do, you can create a file here. So what you can do, echo, right? You can say name, say your name, and make a greater than, and make it like this something. Just one file, it will create. It will echo Harish and put it in harish.txt there. So like that, you just put your name and name.txt you do.
Okay.
And press enter. Nothing came, means all good. Now cat harish.txt if you do, see what is there in that file. Harish is there, right? For you, your name will be shown there. Correct? If you do ls-l, it will also show the name of the file that you have just created. Correct?
Yes.
Now if you do df, simply you do df, you see this number, right? Blocks used 2568, and earlier you see 2564 were there. Just compare here. df I had run. You had run df-ht, so you will have you will not have that data. That is human readable. Now it will just manipulate. Now for me,
Harish,
yeah.
when I did cat space urvashi.txt, okay, so it is coming urvashi.txt, no such file or directory.
Are you there in this directory? Urvashi? Is it showing Urvashi here?
Yeah, Urvashi 1.
Okay. So did you run this command first?
Yeah, echo.
No, just do ls-l there. First you do ls-l.
1 second. ls-l.
What does it show?
Root lost plus found, and then second line is urvashi.txt.
So whatever is the upper and lower case, that only you have to do. Case sensitivities. So you have to say cat, copy this and paste it.
Cat. Okay. Again, it is, I guess.
It's showing the data.
1 second. Right click. Urvashi. Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So again, you did mistake with upper and lower case because
Yeah, it was
it's totally case sensitive.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what we have done with EBS, right? So EBS means what? Block storage, right?
Yeah.
So for what is the purpose? For attaching to your EC2 instance, right?
Okay.
So we have attached it and we have made the space available for our use. So one additional step I will tell you, right? If you just shut down this machine or reboot this machine, this mount point will go. This mount point, whatever you have done, this mount, right? Now if you are doing like df-ht and /harish like this you are doing, so it is showing this mounted on this. Earlier it was showing /. Now it is showing my mount point wherever I have mounted, right? This file system is mounted here. So file system. Now what will happen when you just run cd and enter, then you do pwd. So now you are in /root. So you came out of this directory. After you come out of this directory, then you just run umount.
Second, Harish. df
name of the file system.
pwd.
Right?
Okay.
So where are you now? When you say pwd Urvashi, what does it show?
Root.
Correct. That means you are out of it. Now you just say umount and name of the directory where you mounted the file system. Just do umount and then name of that directory.
It came out here.
Now run that again. Up arrow.
Okay. Okay.
What is the difference?
XFS 10G, 1.2G, H.9G, 12.
What is the difference, Urvashi? You have to explain.
We came out from our directive when it was, now it is showing the only root IP. So
No,
we
it's
are
not about coming out of directive. When we did CD, then we came out of a directive. That is one thing. That is like, it will not show the file. But what is the command that we are running here? We are running df-ht. Even if you go to that directory, right? Even if you go to that directory, there also if you run, right, this command df-ht, if you run there also, still it is showing something different.
Yeah.
See, earlier how it was showing? It was showing like this.
Okay, XV data 2.
Data 2?
EXT4, now it is XFS.
Not only XFS and EXT4, you also see this where it is mounted.
Okay, so it was mounted in our in the dictionary.
Yeah, it was 1 GB drive where we had mounted it. Now we have unmounted.
Yeah.
So after we unmounted, now our file system and the disk is no longer associated with this directory.
Yeah.
So earlier it was like when we had mounted, so this was showing as our own that 1 GB drive. Now it has again come to the same thing, 10G and slash, correct?
And file type also XFS.
Yeah, and if you do LS7L, then you will see the magic in this directory. What happened?
Yeah.
Understood, Urvashi?
Yeah.
Where is your file? You had some file, right?
LS.
You go to that Urvashi directory, then you run LSFNL.
It is showing total 16.
No, you have not unmounted, that means.
I did.
Is it showing lost and found?
Yeah, first it was showing lost plus found, that urvashi.txt.
Now is it there?
1 second, Harish.
Okay, what we can do is you can share your screen, right? So it will be, better. So you just share your screen. Let me stop my share. Okay, so I'll just make you host. You please share your screen. Okay, leave it then. Otherwise, anyways, it's going to be break time, right? So after that break, you just share your screen, then we'll do this one. Okay. Now, for now, what you do, you just run wherever you are. Simply run df-ht and enter.
You know what is coming when I did unmount space slash.
No unmount. Simply you just run df-ht and tell me the output.
Df.
Is it having Urvashi or no Urvashi? That's it.
No Urvashi.
Urvashi is not there in this list. Here in the end.
No.
Okay, then we are good. Now you just go. Now you do pwd and show me what is the output.
pwd root.
You are in root, right? So in root, if you are doing LSFNL, right, then obviously it will show you 16 things and Anaconda and all those things. So you have to move to /Urvashi, like that you have to do, and then tab.
CD.
You have to go to that directory. In order to see the files in that directory, you have to go to that directory. CD. Okay. Change directory. CD means change directory. Which directory you want to change to? Urvashi.
Okay.
So you are there in that directory?
Yeah, I'm there.
Now you say pwd and you will see that you are in /Urvashi.
Yeah, /Urvashi.
Now, if you do ls-l, it will not show you anything. Total 0.
Yeah.
Correct? That means you have correctly unmounted the file system, right? So the command is umount. Okay. So when you do umount, that file system is detached. It is like no, the files that disk is there associated with your machine. However, that file system that you had mounted is no longer mounted. It is unmounted. So it is no longer accessible via the directory that you had associated that device with. Now, if you shut down, exactly this will happen. If you shut down your machine, so whatever mount you had done using the command line, so exactly it will be unmounted. So now what you need to do, you need to make it permanent across the reboot. Even if you reboot the machine, if you shut down the machine, whenever you come back, that file system should still be accessible to you. That should still be accessible to you. So how you can make it? You have to add one entry in etc fstab file. So just do vi slash, or you see if you have vim, do a tab after vim, not there, vi is there. Just do vi slash etc slash fstab, all of you.
vi
Slash etc fstab, you just type it like this and copy your device name. Copy this device name.
fs
Tab.
tab also we provide.
Fs tab, you have to type.
And then enter.
No enter. vi slash etc slash fs tab, you have to type like this. And meanwhile, what you do, you copy this xvdf1 like that, whatever is there, no, you copy and put it in a notepad.
It is showing xvda2.
Did you press enter?
No.
Anybody pressed enter? No, right?
Yeah, I pressed enter, Harish. It is like vi etc fs tab. I pressed enter. It is showing created by Anaconda. Actually, I'm in Ranjita directory only.
Yeah. No worries. Just be there, please. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, be there. Do one thing. No, if you have pressed, anybody pressed enter. So what you do? Just press escape. Colon Q exclamation.
Colon Q. Yeah, I came back.
Everyone out?
I didn't press enter.
Yes, Harish.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, so here what you do first, I'll recommend, please take a backup of this file first. This is important file for system to boot. That file system only will not get mounted if you just do a mistake in that. So here what you do, cp slash etc slash fs tab, then again paste it and just make it as a backup. So this is 25th.
1 second, okay. So you said first you said vi space slash etc slash fs tab, and then you said copy something and note it somewhere.
Yeah, you please come back to command prompt.
Yeah.
And whatever vi fs tab you have written, please delete it like this, backspace.
1 second, Harish.
Yeah.
I have not. I have actually copied this. I don't know. It is vi.
Whatever you have typed, no, please delete it. See, you have it written here. Simply backspace you press, it will be deleted. So you are on the command line. Just press clear and everything will be cleared.
Okay.
Okay, everything clear?
I have not copied that actually. You are telling me to copy this one.
No,
right?
no, Roshi, no. I'm not saying anything. I just want you to be on the command prompt.
But something you have copied on Notepad, right?
No, we have not done. We have stopped that. Before we copy or do something, we move to another activity.
Okay, I have cleared everything.
Okay. So please come to the command prompt. And here you simply, no, you have the command prompt?
Yeah.
Okay. So here what you do, cp space. Now you press etc plus fstab space. Again you copy the same thing and paste it. Don't press enter until I tell.
I clicked here, so it is. I don't know.
Where you clicked?
1 second.
Okay, so let's take a break. We'll come back and then do this. I'll just make you host so that no, it will